Hello everyone, this is Ari Moshe Wolf of Heart and Soul Centered Astrology. In this video, I'm going to share my insight on the upcoming eclipse season in the Virgo and Pisces axis. So let's take a look at the transits here. Take a note at Uranus right here in Gemini. Literally one day before the eclipse, this is September 6th, Uranus stations retrograde. Then on September 7th, we have a lunar eclipse. This is a full moon eclipse with the sun in Virgo on the south node, along with its ruler Mercury, and the moon in Pisces. Take note of all of the strong Pisces activity. Neptune, the ruler, soon to move retrograde into Pisces. Saturn recently retrograde back into Pisces. Now, I've mentioned this recently, and I want to highlight the importance of Uranus during this time. While Uranus is not squaring the nodes, from an evolutionary perspective, we think of everything in the context of a time cycle. So actually Uranus and the nodes are moving towards a square. This can intuitively tell us that 2026 is going to speak to a very significant culmination between Uranus and the nodes. So even though the square isn't yet happening, we have to think of it as a developmental process. So what does it mean for Uranus, now moving retrograde, to be in this turning point, moving to square the lunar nodes? I'll say two things. One, Uranus always corresponds to the algorithm, the natural unfolding of the intelligent design itself, the program. We don't create the program. We didn't invent it. It sort of exists impersonally, right, outside of our own framework or conditioned beliefs and ideas about it. Especially manifesting in Gemini, we're looking at our logical, empirical understanding and how we've intellectually organized and ordered our reality. This Uranus retrograde is basically a curveball to our linear thinking. Now, think of this, again, it's moving towards that square, but it's very active, moving retrograde. Whenever a planet goes retrograde, that planet is very, very emphasized within the collective. So right now, over the next couple weeks, this Uranus is incredibly emphasized. It's ruled by Mercury, which will be on the south node. So we're looking at a lot of dynamics around releasing control. And here's the tension. There are many things in life that we need to control. We need to plan and organize all kinds of things. But I think to a significant degree, we've learned to fall back on the sort of the Virgo, Mercurial, and Gemini function to overly control and map and organize so many parts of our life because we're afraid that if we don't, we are going to be lost. Oftentimes, our need to understand and map and sort of possess an understanding of our reality ends up cutting us off from this greater healing and divine grace. And I would offer that in my own learning. I think this is something we can all relate to. Underneath it all is a deep sense of inadequacy. I'm not deserving or worthy enough to trust. If I trust, I'm going to find out that, I'm not really worth much anyway. So often our control is a way of masking a deeper distrust in the beauty and the grace and the miracles of life that want to guide us and lead us home. Because if we really allow it, we'll have to face all of our fear, all of our resistance, all of our fundamental distrust and unworthiness. You can think of the Virgo-Pisces axis as, in part, reflecting the consciousness of, Virgo, I'm imperfect. There are so many things I have to work on. And you could imagine right now, there can be a very strong dynamic of whatever's messy or unresolved in our life really coming up. And that Uranus dynamic being like, I don't know how to make sense of it. Right? Our existing frames of thinking will not be able to organize and understand how to fix the problems that we think we're in. So we have that with the Virgo side of it. And the Pisces side as there is a truth that transcends the complexities, the intricate traffic jam of our fears and our concerns and all of our unresolved grievances and dynamics. The Pisces dynamic said there's a truth, there's a love, there's a beauty, there's something that exists that is true. It's fundamentally within you and it's the essence of what we are. That in accessing that and experiencing and surrendering and tasting to it, everything is clarified. What we are afraid of is spiritually bypassing. What we're afraid of is surrendering to some sort of deeper spiritual experience and then leaving all this unresolved stuff behind. And so oftentimes we find there's a strong duality or a conflict between our ability to trust the truth and to access it, and where we really feel like there are things to work out in our own life. So let me drop in for a moment and offer what arises for the healing invitation of this particular eclipse. There's that teaching from Jesus, seek the kingdom of heaven first and all else shall be given to you. What this means is God, love, truth, does not leave anything unresolved. Whatever needs to be healed will be healed. We often think that the truth means we're just leaving everything and everyone behind, and thus that fear of something being unresolved. The way Pisces works is this. Every part of our life, every dimension of our life, everything, every single part of our life, every question we hold, everything that is in our mind, every relationship, every physical component of our human experience is given over to the truth to use. Love will never alienate and say, oh, those problems aren't important, don't deal with them. Because that means we're just kind of repressing our sense of problems. We're not really healing anything. Love actually invites us gently to look at our problems with the light of truth shining upon it. Everything is given over to the flow, to the current of oneness, to be guided and orchestrated according to its will and its plan. This is something that we can't do alone. It leads to insight. It leads to understanding, meaning that Gemini dimension, everything makes sense. And the synchronicities and the dynamics and the relationships, everything works out and comes together perfectly from the perspective of truth. So it doesn't bypass dealing with or addressing what's unresolved. It goes there, but with love. But we can't go there with love and also hold on to our demands and ideas and beliefs and convictions and stories of the past at the same time. So there needs to be a little bit of a willingness to let go. I hold on to this struggle, to this pain, to this difficulty. I don't have an answer. And I know that there is a way of seeing that is forgiving. This is the prayer that we can hold right now. There's this interesting quote from A Course in Miracles. It goes something like, even the tinge of annoyance is just a mask for intense hatred. I mean, I love that quote because I think we are often not aware of how normalized we have made our own fear, our own hatred. And there's a path where love would guide us safely home to a peaceful perception of our lives and of our relationship. So let's hold that prayer for ourselves, where even every little uncomfortable detail, we say, oh, this right here, this is not God's will. This is not the truth. I'm open for correction here. So just now settling into this space to make this video and playing with my mic and my new little interface here so I can create good audio. The sister showed up, guided to say hello, and we had this beautiful interaction, which really, I feel, was an exchange of remembering that life is about harmony and vibration. And that when we find ourselves moving down this track of fear, there's an invitation where we can remember, okay, this is not the truth. This is not who I would want to be. And to create a little space in those moments to shift to a vibration that allows for something much greater. We get very stuck in this narrow frame of fear and control. And it's hard. Sometimes it's very hard in all the Virgo conditions of our life and the traffic jam of unresolved dynamics, to be able to access something more spacious and forgiving that's free of all the complexities. I think there's a lot of value in just being able to anchor little wedges of trust, little moments of faith, so we can allow in that little space, like we give God a little bit and God gives us everything. We just need to kind of offer a little bit of a starting point, a little bit of willingness, a little bit of availability. Now, one other dimension to this opposition, this Pisces Virgo eclipse, relative to Uranus stationing retrograde, is in this surrender, in this opening to a plan that is beyond our understanding and letting every detail be worked out by something greater than what we can cognitively process or understand. I think it's very clear to say things are not going the way we might expect them to, right? It's not like life isn't going to conform to our understanding, because our existing understanding and map and framework kind of just unintentionally keeps our problems in place, right? I'm going to envision a better future And I'm going to take into the future all the things that I'm struggling with now. We have to allow for a significant degree of reorganization to occur in order to allow the future to be better than what we currently know. So I would say embracing some level of uncertainty over the next week or so, moving into this eclipse, and just that practice of creating a little bit of space to shift our vibration. That's the prayer and the beautiful remembering that I'm offering to myself and that I share with you. That there's a plan. I recently received a dream where I was told, even though you don't understand, God has a plan for you. What a gift to receive that dream. Actually, in the dream, it was a little bit different. I was told, tell your brother, even though he doesn't understand, God has a plan for you. Now, brother in astrology is the third house. I have a very packed third house. I don't think I'm going to tell this to my brother. I don't know if that would be a message to share. I don't intuitively get that guidance. But when I think about the third house, it's also a symbol of our mind. It's a Gemini archetype, right? Where we're able to process and linearly put together. So I've kind of intuitively grasped this as, even though you don't understand logically, you don't get how it fits together. You see the earlobe and the big trunk and the gray skin, you don't quite know it's an elephant. So give all of the intuitive interpretation, your synthesis over to something greater than your own understanding. There's a plan here. There's a greater picture unfolding. And I think the best we can do is to just create a little space to work on our peace of mind. Even though the temptation of this Virgo and this, I don't know what's going on, Uranus retrograde in Gemini, it might be very tempting to feel stressed and kind of flustered. The symbols of astrology, when interpreted with love and faith, invite us to think differently. And I think that's what's happening right now. All right, everyone. Here are a couple announcements. So check out the description to learn more about my sessions, my self-study training program. I have a new community membership. In this membership, we meet once a month with live sessions, live readings for those who attend. I'm going to be sharing a talk that I recently gave in Paris on the holiness of relationships, and access to a Venus aspects class for members only. So you're going to continually get new perks and free access to various classes as I release new products. If you're a member of the community, you can cancel anytime. Thank you all so much. Oh. A few announcements. As always, check out the description to learn more about my sessions, the newsletter that I often write along with these videos, and my self-study training program. I have a new community membership. We're going to have our second meeting just this Sunday. We have a monthly meeting where I do live readings for those who are alive and kind of allow the themes of the readings that happen to be the teachings and the astrology teachings and life teachings that I expound upon as it arises. I'm also going to be regularly sharing free classes to members. So I just taught a class in France. I have a couple new products, the holiness of relationship, Venus aspects, and members of the community will be receiving access to that. I'm also going to be a part of a beautiful free class. Check this out in the description. It's the Life Wisdom Teachings of Jeffrey Wolf Green. I'm going to be getting together with a few of the old-timers of the School of Evolutionary Astrology. These are those who have studied with Jeffrey Wolf Green in the early days, who have had experiences with him. And we're just going to share stories of how his teachings and our experience with this soul has impacted our own life. This will be a really beautiful way. We've never done something like this before, of honoring him, the legacy of his teachings, and all that he's given us into the world. So check that out. It's a free class. Registration is required. And as always, thank you so much for watching.